There's this beautiful but haunting line in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, that I read on my first passing read, but when I circled back to it on my second read, I thought of this chapter for like an hour, or just this specific line, and was pretty blown away by it. I think it had immense meaning for both psychology and for the whole meaning of the text. And I'm sorry, but this is going to be one of those live processing essays, so get ready. My thoughts are kind of all over the place with this, and I'm just going to use this as a way to organize them. And for anyone watching for the first time, I'm John, and I am reading through Lord of the Rings for the first time, publishing my thoughts on this channel, and I have a lot of thoughts on the Lord of the Rings. If you want to vicariously live through someone who is reading this for the first time, or want a reading companion on your first time, or want my unorganized thoughts on this book, you should check out the channel. I am kind of planning to do some Brandon Sanderson, Dune, Narnia, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, all the good books out there, and I want to read and talk about them all. So subscribe if you want to and become a member too, where you have early access to videos and some members only content. And just a quick heads up too, I keep saying this that I'm gonna get into Brandon Sanderson like very quickly, but I am. In the next week, I am probably gonna start making some videos, maybe like 1 or 2 a week, about Brandon Sanderson's novels. And I read through Mistborn, which is where I started with him. So I want to kind of like turn this into a book club too. If you haven't read that book yet, finish Mistborn in the next like week or so. It's like a pretty quick read. I think you can finish it in a week, even just like audiobook. Finish it in a week, and then when the videos start, you can kind of read along with me as I read through Brandon Sanderson's work. I'm starting the second one, which is The Well of Ascension. Quick note, just read Mistborn before you read Well of Ascension. So I'm going to start doing some videos on that one. But anyway, let's get back to Lord of the Rings. This is the line that I want to talk about. It comes from both Théoden and Gandalf, and this is what the book says. Yet, also, I should be sad, said Théoden. For however the fortune of war shall go, may it not so end that much that was fair and wonderful shall pass forever out of Middle-earth. It may, said Gandalf. The evil of Sauron cannot be wholly cured, nor made as if it had not been. But to such days we're doomed. Let us now go on with the journey we have begun. Gosh, first off, environmentalism. Something that Tolkien seems to be doing with his work that I've talked about in a few of my essays. But the people are sad for the beauty passing away are the people who are like the good guys. And the people who want to destroy it and set up their kingdoms are the bad guys. So Théoden here is saying that he's sad and like he's bummed that everything is going to pass away in Middle-earth. I think that just is an indication that he's a good guy. He is sad for the breaking and the burning and the destruction of all that is fair and wonderful. The wars that are coming and that are ravaging the land, and would Rohan have failed, I'm sure that those mines behind Helm's Deep would have been destroyed as well. Now that I think of it, I kind of think that's like a symbol for the entirety of this book. How there are these beautiful mines that are almost being protected by Helm's Deep, and men have found these and have built a whole vast fortress around it, and the orcs are coming without really knowing about it, but surely to destroy it if they get through the men. But the thing that I really want to think through in this essay is the thought and idea of pressing ahead even though things look bleak, and the idea of what we are all doomed to do. But there's also so much idea in here about modern psychology, like how much should we look to our past and how much should that inform the things that we do in the future? How much should we look to things that are irredeemable? Is there anything that's irredeemable? Because there are things that are passing out of Middle-earth here that will never be seen again. But does Tolkien mean that new beauty cannot spring from those places? Perhaps this is even Tolkien's idea for what can be redeemed and what being redeemed really means. Not that everything is restored, but that beautiful things can emerge from beautiful things that were torn down and destroyed. And I kind of think of like, I always think of this example in this way, but when Mount St. Helens erupted, there was a species of fish that was completely destroyed, and everyone was so devastated about this who are, big fishermen in that area, because they were an incredibly beautiful fish. And they thought that they were all extinct and that we were the last, people on Earth that were going to be able to see these fish. And about like 5 years later, I think, there were teams and teams of this fish everywhere. It's like nature can restore itself and, go back to its factory setting almost. And I feel like for Tolkien here, he's talking about that in some way. Like some of the beauty of Earth, particularly Middle Earth for him, is passing away. But new beauty can emerge from that. Middle Earth can heal itself in some way. But the people there, I don't know, that might be a different thing. And again, this is just all live processing through my thoughts. So I need all of your guys' comments to help me kind of process through this, because this isn't one of those where I have like a definitive direction that I'm going in. Which if you like organized essays, might not be the place for you. Sometimes I come out with an organized essay, but I don't know. I warned you, this is not an organized, thought out essay. I think there's just too much here to write about in any sort of like real specific way. But let's kind of tackle this in movements. The idea of the evil of Sauron not able to be wholly cured is just a fact. It's a truth. It's a truth for Middle-earth in that there are generations that will be affected by the things that he has done. And now that I'm thinking through this, I don't know really a lot of the evils that he has done to the actual land. Because this seems like it's taking environmentalism more than it is about the psychological or physical harm that he's doing or that he's done to actual people. Man, I'm just curious what he's done to actually destroy the actual lands of Middle-earth. I know the movies that Mordor is like a pit of despair, like nothing looks like it grows there. It's almost just like a vast waste, chaos and like dirt. But what Gandalf says here is true for psychological reasons as well. And it's something that I think we have a choice for what to do as Gandalf lays out. People hurt us in life. There are things in life that are just unavoidable. And people hurting us is one of those things. Sometimes it comes in physical pain. Sometimes it's in things a person says or what their actions are. Sometimes it's just years of slowly wearing a person down so that they become a shell of themselves. But here, Gandalf seems to make a proclamation that the things that people do can always leave scars. As is a sentiment shared by every major piece of wisdom out there, and just a ton of movies as well. I remember a story I had to give a speech on in college about a boy who had a hammer, and he was supposed to put a nail in a board every single time he did something wrong. And every time he was good, he got to take one out. Well, the boy was very naughty, so the whole thing was filled with nails until one day he decided to change his ways. He started being good until about a year later when all his nails were removed, and when he plucked the very last nail from the board, he sat there and he started crying, and his father asked him why he was crying, and the boy said, "There are all these scars still on the plank." And it's just an illustration that life leaves us with scars. No one is alone in that. And often we try to compare whose scars are bigger, but when it comes to scars, a scar is a scar, big or small. It's something that we carry with us as a reminder of something bad that happened to us. And the bad things that Sauron is doing are things that can't really wholly be healed. And they cannot be made to be as if they had not been. No matter how much scar cream you rub on that scar, I think you can always see it. Now, I had cancer when I was 25. I had melanoma on the side of my head. I have a big lightning bolt scar under my hairline on the side. I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts letter, but that's for another essay. I have a scar on my neck as well from the surgery because they had to take out a lymph node, and I put cream on that thing every night for 3 years, and there's still a scar there. It's smaller than it was before, but it's never fully been healed. And it's something that people notice all the time and ask me about too. Not like all the time, but it's not crazy noticeable, but it's still something that left a mark that when people see, they're curious about. And this is true for psychological wounds in our own life too. I think those things tend to stay with us for the rest of our life. Unfortunately. I hate that happens, but it's an unfortunate fact of life. But what Gandalf says that last is the most interesting thing. But to such days we are doomed. Let us now go on with the journey we have begun. Come on, Gandalf. How good is that? I love this idea, first of all, of doom. It seems like an ever-present thing within the work of Tolkien, especially in the last few weeks as I've been reading this glorious book. Théoden, when he was marching to Helm's Deep, talked about his doom. The Ents, when they marched to Isengard, were marching to their doom. Heck, even the inscription of the ring says that the Nine were doomed to die. Now, this word puzzles me a bit because I think I've always associated this negatively, but I do kind of think Tolkien is using this in a different way. He seems to be using it in a way that almost means inevitability. Like the things that happen to us are inevitable. This is our lot in life. We cannot change the past. I wish more than anything I could take back some of the things that I did and that were done to me. I think regret is honestly one of the most powerful emotions and motivators that we have in our lives. And I think my favorite poem of all time, Interim by Edna St. Vincent Millay, is literally all about this idea of regret. It's regretting the things that you didn't say to a person that you loved. I was just talking with someone about this today too, actually, because while I'm actually currently in between jobs, I'm actually kind of like looking to buy and fix up a house while I'm in between. But you know, this channel has kind of taken a lot of my energy here, which has been great. I love this so much. And as I have a bit of a general contracting and construction experience, I was looking at this house near me in this historic district of a city. It was like a city like an hour and a half away from me, but it was kind of like a dumpy city. But in this dumpy city, there was this mini Victorian mansion. It was run down as anything I've ever seen. And it needed, I'm not even joking, it needed years of rehab. But it was being sold as is for pretty dirt cheap. And I went to see it and it was just out of my price range and I didn't get it. And about a few months later, someone bought it. And I have regretted that ever since. I honestly think about it like once or twice a day, not buying that house. Because heck, I could have had another YouTube channel just renovating that beauty. It's crushing me that I didn't get that. I know, this is just a spiel to talk about regret. I was just thinking about that today. And I think there are things that all of us regret. And there's other great literature and movies talk about this. I think about the line from Rafiki in Lion King. Ah, yes, the past can hurt, but we can either run from it or learn from it. I think this is the Tolkien version of that. But to such days we are doomed. Let us now go on with the journey we have begun. It's something that I think even Carl Jung has talked about in some of his psychology. It's the overused quote of, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. I love Gandalf's pressing on to the journey ahead here. There's an element of doom to it. There is an element of we might not succeed, but let's enjoy the journey while we can. And that we will journey nonetheless. I do think the movies actually did capture some of this magic in a few moments in really beautiful ways too. Like when Theoden says we will meet them in battle nonetheless. When he gives his death speech, when Gimli says certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for? And then even in moments like Merry and Pippin running out to the battle first. These are moments that show us that these characters are marching to their doom. But they are marching nonetheless. The things in our lives that feel like uphill battles, and not only uphill battles, but battles we just kind of cannot win, should not make us in any way refrain from fighting them. They should make us fight all the more. Because we may fail, but we should continue on with the journey and the fight nonetheless. Ah, goodness. There is so much more to this line, but I'm really kind of just curious. This was like an essay just to hand it over to you guys. What do you think of this line? This line feels so significant and important. And I wasn't even going to make an essay about this, but I just passed this by in my second read through of this chapter and was just blown away by it. It felt like such a perfect line for the entirety of this series, that you cannot erase the things that have happened, but you just keep on going with the journey. There's only so much I can kind of rant about this in one essay, so I just want to know your thoughts on this line. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.